gas runs out, just wreck it and you insure the thing. I don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in. Don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in. But I can't sign out that you made the move. It has gone and gone to dogs. Lay down on the floor. For the right price I can get everything. Slip into the car, go driving to the farthest star. I don't need to walk around in circles, walk up in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in. Don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in. Don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in.
Shut up. If I could fail you, if this wasn't a non-credit class, you would so fail on.
Oh, no, no, that's a good spot. It's parked right there.
Bunch of fuck-ups in the class. So, we've got a crowd of, what, 4? 7?
4.
I didn't ask how many students, I asked how many crowd. We got more students in the crowd. That's not good. For those that don't know, my name is Alex Stokes. I teach stand-up comedy at UT. It's a non-credit course. It is the top-ranked non-credit course at UT, which I'm excited to announce that. I'm beating out the photography and the calligraphy people. So, the calligraphy is not hard. They only get one person usually. But the cooking classes, I'll beat them. So the way my class works, it's 8 weeks long. They got 4 nights in the classroom, which we opted to not even go to the classroom this year. We're just going to bars and having our meetings there. It's working out well. And then they have to perform 4 different times at 4 different bars or breweries downtown Knoxville. So tonight is their second performance. For most of them. Hey, come on in, don't be scared. You should be, but don't be. Are these the ones you recruited? They actually came back. Wow, you did a good job there. It usually never happens. I was telling them, since now our crowd is doubled in size, this is a stand-up comedy class that I teach at UT, and this is their second performance. And I've got 7 of them tonight. 3 of them did not show up. And the microphone sounds broken. So I'm going to introduce them up. They'll each be doing like 5 to 7 minutes. Some are clean, some are dirty. I really don't know what's going to happen. It's always fascinating. So I appreciate you guys coming. My voice is lost. I lost my voice at my show Saturday night. So, all right, guys, you ready for your first performer? Slowly right there. The first one's him. The only one that actually wrote an intro. Oh, you wrote one too. Oh, no, good.
We all have intros.
He's just trying to kiss up since he's already failing the class. All right, so next we have retired Knoxville firefighter Dean Fontaine. You may wonder, what could possibly be funny about death, destruction, and trauma? Well, turns out, quite a bit. He didn't know as well as he thought. It was a real read it.
As long as it's you that's not funny.
Here's your little microphone. Guys, give me a huge round of applause for Dean Fontaine.
Thank you. I was a firefighter for 30 years. I have thousands of stories, plenty of them really funny. My all-time favorite was a call we got about 2 o'clock in the morning for an unresponsive female, unknown medical. We arrived on the scene to find a 30-year-old redneck in his underwear in the front yard. So we came up to him and said, what's the problem? What's going on? And he says, is in here. Her cover's stuck. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Okay, just take me to her, take me wherever the problem is. We go in, we find about a 28-year-old female naked in bed having a full-blown grand mal seizure. That's not funny, come on. we did a whole workup on her. We found out she had a very low blood sugar. We started an IV, pushed D50, bada boom, bada bang, she's great, she's fine. And now I'm starting thinking, what the hell is going on here? And I thought back to what he said when we showed up. He said, her cover's stuck.
What?
And then, yeah, I start to put this together. Are y'all seeing where we're going with this? They were having sex when she had a seizure, leading him to believe that he had caused an endless orgasm in this woman. That's what he thought. And I didn't bother to correct him. So to this day, I'm sure he's going into bars saying, darling, my loving's so good it damn near killed a woman one time. You know what's happening. Some of the other weird calls we got a guy who put a .25 caliber gun to his head and pulled the trigger, a suicide attempt. We get there and I'm talking to him. He's 100%. He doesn't seem to have anything wrong with him. But there's a bullet hole here and one here. So, again, Ray, really? Dude.
He's gonna laugh at everything.
Nothing wrong with it. But he should not be conscious and talking to me. So we got to poking around and there's no hole in the skull. It's a .25 caliber. The bullet hit, flattened out, traveled between the skull and the scalp, and popped out the other side. And the funny part was, Ray! The funny part was when he said to me that, he said, am I going to be crazy now? Dude, 10 minutes ago you put a gun to your head. Crazy-er? I mean, anyway, that was funny. We've had, I've talked a lot about, this is the second time I've done this. And last time I just talked about stupid things other people did. And this time I'll tell you some of the stupid things I did. Oh, I see what you're thinking. No, you're a captain. Captains don't do stupid things, right? Is that what you're... Yeah, see? Yeah, but I wasn't a captain yet. That's why I did stupid things. We got this call for suicide, again. A lot of funny suicides. The guy was in his basement with just one little light bulb in the corner, and he took a 12 gauge to his chest and pulled the trigger with his toe. He'd been dead for some time. And we showed up and the cop said, he's real dead, but nobody's dead until a paramedic says you're dead. So I got to go in, I go in the basement, I check, I was like, oh yeah, he's real dead. So I got to fill out this piece of paper that says who I am, what I did for the detectives, what I touched, what I messed with. And I'm filling that out over the corner, and I think I'm by myself. And across the room, I suddenly notice a brilliant light coming from the hole in his chest. And that freaks me out. My blood runs cold, my hair stands up, I drop my pen. I'm like, what the hell am I seeing? Is this his spirit leaving his body? I don't know, but I'm just mesmerized by this. And then from behind him, the cop stands up and goes, you know, you can see all the way through him. That really happened. One of the other dumb things I did was really funny. At Station 16 on Nashville Highway, it's 5 lanes of traffic. Somebody knocks on the door and says, there's been a car wreck across the street. We look over, and sure enough, the car's hit a telephone pole, but very lightly. It's hardly damaged at all, and like, there's no way anybody could be hurt. My captain at the time said, you know, you're the paramedic, go check it out. So I do a Frogger thing where I'm dodging cars, getting across 5 lanes of traffic. And as I approach the car, I notice the windows are all covered in blood. And I'm like, oh crap, what is this, a rolling suicide? Like a 12 gauge? I don't know what's happened, but again, nobody's dead until a paramedic says they're dead, so I gotta look at this. So I open the door, and I look inside, and there's nobody there. And I look in the back seat, nobody there. There's no blood trail. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? And then it hit me, the smell. Oregano. And I take another look, and now I see the 5-gallon pot that was in the front passenger seat of spaghetti sauce. When she hit the telephone pole, it hit the dashboard, and blew spaghetti sauce all over the inside of the car. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm happy. I'm like, oh, no dead person, yay. And I'm chilled, and then I look across the street, and I notice my captain's over there. He's seen what he thinks is blood now. And he's freaking out. He's on the radio, he's calling for an ambulance, he's telling his private, go get the medical kit, bring a fire truck, come on, let's go. And I'm like, oh, I gotta shut this down. I gotta stop this. So I yell at him, and he can't hear me across the traffic. Does anybody know the hand and arm signals for this isn't blood, it's spaghetti sauce? Yeah. Do you, please, because I needed to know that. I didn't know. So the only thing that came to mind was I took 2 fingers to the window and I pulled out some of the spaghetti sauce and I put it in my mouth. I thought that would communicate this isn't blood, and it, from the look on his face, it obviously didn't. He had shock, horror, and revulsion. And I'm like, oh no. So I had to run back across traffic. And I came up to him and he's like, no, that's close enough. I got a flesh-eating fireman here. And I'm like, no, dude, it's spaghetti sauce. And he was mad as hell. He's like, oh, yeah, you're a real fucking funny comedian, aren't you? No, I wasn't joking. I was really trying to communicate, but he never would believe that. And so that, to this day, that captain thinks I just had a horrible sick sense of humor to do that to him. So, but yeah, how do you like it, huh? My time is up. So,
Montague. Now, one thing that's really funny about this class, though, is I had to mention this because we haven't talked about this yet. So we had 10 students. So the first week I started a group text. So I sent out a text to all 10 phone numbers that I had on the list. And so when I send out these texts, it's only like, hey, here's where we're going to be Wednesday night. That's pretty much all I do. I don't read the text. So 8 days later, we're doing a show, and everybody's like, man, that Vince guy's hilarious. And I'm like, who the fuck is Vince? They're like, you put in a wrong phone number, and some guy named Vince from Florida has been replying to all of our texts. I was like, what? So I go back and read it, and I'm like, holy shit. And this guy's like, yeah, man, sorry, I can't make it tonight. I'm like 14 hours away. I'm not going to be at the show. I'm like, I was like, this dude's funnier than anybody in my class. So I finally, when I found this out, I sent Vince a text the next day. I'm like, hey Vince, man, I'm so sorry. I'm the teacher of the class. I didn't mean to accidentally put your phone number in. He's like, oh no, man, it's cool. You guys are like fam. I was like, what shit? This is weird. I was like, well, if you want me to, I'll take you off the list so we don't bother you anymore, because I know my students like to text a lot. He's like, oh no, dude, man, I'm in this for good now. He's like, ride or die, bitches. And I'm like, who the hell? This is like a 12-year-old boy named Vince in Florida now that's like rolling with the motorcycles. There we go. So anyways, yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, you guys ready for your next one? You guys ready for the next one? Gotta get better than that. Okay. You ready for you?
Oh, I'm more than ready.
You didn't write an intro, so I can say whatever I want. This guy. Oh, by the way, that's Ray. If y'all haven't figured out, Ray laughs at everything automatically. It's like, if you ever want to be a comedian, just hire him to go to every show. In case you bomb, you're gonna be fine. So my next one, this guy took my very first class about 4 years ago. He's come back, but he's been out performing all over Knoxville, a lot of different shows. He made up a nickname his very first day of class And it's stuck with him now all the way through. Everybody in Knoxville knows him as Cool Breeze. So, guys, give a huge round of applause. We don't even know his real name. Guys, give a huge round of applause for the one and only Cool Breeze.
Thanks, Alex. I'll take my mask off. I'm probably not contagious anymore. I'll continue the theme of retired people. I'm a retired professor. At least that's what I tell people. What the hell? They don't know the difference. I'm Cool Breeze. I'm a retired professor. Prove me wrong. All right. Well, I went out car shopping last week. Anyone here own a car? No? On a car? Yeah, car owner. Good. Okay. We're like this, you know. We're tight. Car owners. I'm looking around the lot there at CarMax, and I said, yeah, you got your Elantra, you got your Civic, you got your Accord. These are all well and good, but I don't need any sissy car. I don't want any car here that's not macho. I want a car that will make a statement, right? So I said, where is your line of ass kickers? Do you have are there new ass kickers then? He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, well, I'm a retired professor, so you know, I like to play around with language. No ass kisser. What about your cop killer? Is the new line of cop killers in? I'd like to see. You have a cop killer here, 4x4. He said, no, sir, we do have a Subaru. But don't get me started. You ever see those commercials? Subaru. It's what love is, or something like that, right? Love. It's a Subaru. No. Subarus are made by Chinese orphans in a work camp on Saipan, okay? They have to install nets below the windows of the factory because of all the suicides, right? Don't give me that Subaru. Love. I want to see your cop killer. Well, I drove off in my Honda Accord. But anyway, I went to the mountains. Anyone ever been to the Great Smoky Mountains? Raise your hand if you could. Yeah. Spoiler, they're not that great, to be honest with you. You got these random hills, piles of rocks, trees, bunch of tourists. If you haven't been there, well, don't let me ruin your fun. Let me give you directions. First, you get in your car, your Subaru, Honda Accord, your cop killer, whatever it may be, okay? And you head up to Sevierville, and there's a statue of Dolly. Have you seen that statue of Dolly? Okay. Well, you get out and you look at Dolly and admire Dolly, and you get back in your car, and you drive one partway up toward the Titanic. First time I saw the Titanic, I thought, well, that really doesn't seem to belong there. What's the fucking Titanic doing here in Pigeon Forge? And they're flying the American flag. Well, that's not right. It was a British ship, right? You'll have to explain everything to these people, okay? Can you imagine the navigational error by which the Titanic arrived in Pigeon Forge? Captain, I see Dolly right ahead. She's got a big boobs, Captain. What should I do? Well, anyway, I'll make a long story short, although it's probably too late. The ship ran aground right there near Dollywood, which is another thing. How many of you been to Dollywood? All right. Did you like it? Nope. Nope. Pretty fun. You stand in line for 8 hours, you get a pass, and you get on a roller coaster, and then you go up and down and you vomit. So, can't beat it. Good family fun. Okay. So you turn right at Dollywood. I'm trying to help you get to the mountains. You see these large forested hills. First time I went to the mountains a long time ago, this was back in the days of the Iron Horse, you know, the telegraph. I ran into a bear jam. You ever run into a bear jam? You know what that is? It's pretty good on toast. No, that's not what a bear jam is. Someone explain this. I want to flash back to my professor days. Someone, what's a bear jam? Raise your hand. Yes, in the back there, you. What's a bear jam?
Somebody sees a bear, they stop, and traffic backs up for 10 miles.
They sure do. and there's these people with Florida license plates, Delaware, Alaska. They're all just standing there staring at a bear. It's the most incredible thing they've ever seen. There's the largest furry mammal in the tree. Get out here and take a picture of it before it leaves. So they're staring there, and the traffic backs up for hours sometimes, miles and miles. Well, I'm not going to put up with this shit. I go to my cop killer, I open up the trunk, and I pull out my 12 gauge. That's going to clear a bear jam. Okay, well, now I'm not a monster. I don't shoot at the bear. I shoot at the guy in front of me in the vascular pickup. That gets him moving. Okay. So I cruise up to the top of the mountain. There's a ranger there. You see the ranger with the smoky hat and so forth. And you get out, and they were having a special Ask the Ranger promotion. So I got out. Oh boy, he doesn't know what he's getting into. I walk up and say, Mr. Ranger Man, I have a question for you. He says, what is it there, Sonny? If the immovable object met the unstoppable force, who would clean up the mess? I don't know. That's a good question. Hey, someone stop that motorcycle! So, then what happened? I said, well, if Dolly Parton got into a knife fight with Taylor Swift, whose wig would follow first? Okay. Oh, stop that. I'm half blind already. So I continued on down the mountains. The ranger finally said, I got a bear jam to clean up. I can't mess with this guy. So I went down to the casino in Cherokee. How many of you been to Cherokee? Great place to lose your house, isn't it? I go in there and there's a bunch of blue-haired ladies standing around. Nothing against blue-haired ladies. My girlfriend's a blue-haired lady. That's okay. Anyway, he's standing there saying, would you like a second mortgage? Now, this, of course, is Chief Running Sore. I knew Chief Running Sore back in the day, before they opened the casino. Now he's got an Armani suit on and a Rolex and that sort of thing, and he's saying, would you like to use your credit card? Trail of Tears is not so funny now. So the Cherokee, the noble First Peoples had the last laugh. Folks from Knoxville get on the bus, go over there and blow their bank accounts and buy savings and second mortgage. It's all good. He goes into the Cherokee Nation. Well, let's make one more stop here. My time's almost at an end. I thought to end on a positive note, so I went to the Pioneer Village over there in Oconaluftee, and they have these demonstration events at certain times of the year. They'll have soap making, you know, they'll make molasses and all that. So I walked in with this big stinky mule, and I'm saying, what are you doing there, sir? I'm talking to the mule. I got no satisfaction. The guy comes over and said, we're making sorghum. And I said, would you like some? Well, thank you, sir. I don't really rightly know what sorghum is, but yeah, make me up a batch. I'll have a half gallon. Take it home with me. I'm going to go over and talk to the lady making soap. The lady looks up in her gingham outfit and says, she's got her iPhone to her ear, of course, like everybody else. She says, no! I want all my money in T-bills, not treasury notes. Man, you just broke the fourth wall there. I don't believe you're making soap anymore. She looks up and says, oh, hi, Sonny. Would you like to see me make some soap? Get away from me. You phony before I turn you into a ranger. Okay, you're not staying in character here. So, well, that was my trip to the Smokies, and don't let me put this gentleman next to me. And I said, you know, this is tourist season. Logically, you know, during deer season or bear season, you're allowed to shoot deer or bear. Why is it I can't shoot tourists? Well, anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to bring up another Gatlinburg guy. Well, the first Gallimore, no, 'cause you're not actually from Gallimore.
I've been to go.
You just ribbed on us for a while there. All right, so guys, give him a huge round of applause. He's a very funny guy, and he's. Am I allowed to say that tomorrow? He's retiring tomorrow, so tomorrow we're gonna take a celebration for him. Guys, give him a huge round of applause. Kevin Robertson.
Thank you. The last time anybody clapped for me was when I went to the potty by myself. That was earlier today. I'm not a ventriloquist. This is my emotional support rabbit. That's part of the act. So is that. Okay. I'm really nervous. I need you all to picture me naked.
No.
Wait. I picture you naked. That makes more sense. It's good to be here in Nashville. Last week I was in Knoxville. Everybody there's a football fan. I did learn the Vols, UT Vols football slogan. Maybe next year. I traditionally tell my first joke I ever wrote. Why is it okay for Jesus to leave the door open? He was born in a bar. When I was little, I was in the room with my great-grandfather. He was lighting a pipe. Caught his hair on fire. I jumped up, rushed over, and he just calmly reached up and patted it out. And it was, maybe it's something that just happens a lot. It was a common occurrence. Obviously, I don't have that problem. I do have to be careful when I like roaches, though. I got a coworker. I'm not going to use her name. I don't want to embarrass her and make her mad at me. But anyway, when Emma was 12 years old, they gave her a test at school to see what career she might be suited for later in life. Hers came back taxidermist. She was really disappointed. Because turns out, I happen to know that Emma is a vegetarian. So taxidermy wouldn't be her thing. But I still picture in her house, instead of a lion's head or a bear's head, there's a head of lettuce mounted on the wall. I grew up on a small farm. We had lots of different animals. No sheep, John. Anyway, we would get little calves from the dairy farm when they were only three days old. And I would bottle feed them. I'd graduate up to a bucket with a nipple on it, and grains and hay, and it would grow up, and we had a great big bull, horns and everything. But we were babes. I grew up with me. We had a lot of visitors to our little homestead, and I like to show off, especially when there was young women there. And I would walk over, and I could jump up and sit on that bull. I'd sit on him, as long as I wanted to. That's my bull sit story. And I felt like I was, Conan or something, but I probably looked more like Mongo. Remember Mongo?
Oh, yeah.
But more likely I looked like Otis riding his cat. Of course, there were chickens. When the rooster was wanting to get laid, he would chase the hen, and she would always run, but not fall. She would let herself get caught. We had goats, milk goats. A lot of people think goats are really dirty, but the does are clean animals. They're really clean. The billy goat, not so much. In the mating season, he stunk really, really bad. And once I would watch this goat pee in his own mouth. Pee in his own mouth and smacking his lips and running down his beard. It was just a story I thought y'all needed to hear. Y'all know what chiggers are? Everybody have chiggers? They get their socks and behind your knees and your waistband, under your armpits, and worst of all, in your crotch. I use fingernail polish. It smothers them apparently. And even now when I smell fingernail polish, I think of chiggers. Well, once this guy was complaining about his chiggers, and somebody said, put a little bit of turpentine in your bathwater, that'll kill them. He figured a lot would be better, so he put a lot in there. He ended up standing in front of a fan. Okay, I've accidentally given y'all the PG version of my stories. Let me see if I can real quick go through and make them a little more adult. Nobody clapped for me for going to the potty by myself. They clapped on me for not shitting on myself. My grandfather with the burnt hair and the funny glint in his eye, first time I suspected he was a Nazi. There's really nothing funny about that. And by the way, you might have heard he got deported last week. They sent him back to the fatherland. And speaking of that, I had German Shepherds. I've always had German Shepherds. And I thought it'd be cool to teach one to do tricks with German commands. And one day I was talking to my neighbor, he sneezed, and I said, Gesundheit. The dog ripped his throat out. That wasn't a good idea, obviously. Okay, let me see what else I got here. Taxidermy, vegetarian, fucking vegetarians. That's a whole nother set. Old chickens, slutty hens, goats. The goat didn't pee in his mouth, he pissed in his mouth because he was a horny old goat. I didn't even mention donkeys. We had donkeys, we plowed the gardens with them. And we had visitors, like I said, and it was amazing for them to watch the donkey, the jack donkey, when he was feeling amorous. His wing was that long. It almost struck the ground. It was interesting. The other night, to please change the subject, there's no bestiality in this skit. I was being passionate with my girlfriend, and I thought it would be funny to call her another girl's name in the middle, you know, see what her reaction would be. I didn't. Later I thought, maybe it'd be funnier if instead of some random name, I used some name that she knew, somebody she knew. So I thought a minute of her sister. In the middle of this, I'm going to call her sister's name. Sure enough, next time, just as I'm getting ready to do it, she calls me by another guy's name. My brother. I don't even have a brother. I told her I was going to go rabbit hunting. She told me to bring her a foot. I said, which one? She said, the lucky one, of course. As you can see, Harvey still has all his feet. I figured the lucky one was the one that got away. I always wanted to be a magician. I think a lot of us do when we grow up. So I'm going to be one now. Hocus, hocus. I'm going to practice this. Ta-da! Oh, wait. I'm supposed to pull the rabbit out of the hat. Apparently I do that a lot. This is what I have in the sleight of hand here. Anyway, I now need a taxidermist. But don't worry, it'll be delicious. Just like the bull. You might have noticed the notes on the back of my cards. Note the notes on my notes. If you line them all up in a row, you can sing Copperhead Road. There is something I missed. I'm going to try to get out here real quick.
You missed the light. 4 times.
Standing right here. There was a couple of chicken stories real quick. Here's one. I had this young rooster And every time he crowed, the old rooster would run over and kick his ass. So he figured it would be nice, or I guess, you know how young people have to let it out after crow. He started crowing in the middle of the night. So in the middle of the night, this rooster would start crowing. He was delicious as well. One more thing I left out about the chickens is we built a chicken nest for them to lay in, a nice little wooden nest with hay and a fake egg to encourage them to lay there. Our first egg was laid in a box of nails on the porch. She picked those hard, sharp nails to sit on. That's my chicken sit story. I believe I'm done. Thank you very much.
Let's give another round of applause for Kevin Robertson. I'll tell you guys, if you're wondering what the light is, so when you're doing shows like open mics and stuff, they will light you. Like if you got 6 minutes on stage, they give you 5 minutes. You know, I learned the lesson the hard way. 11 years ago, I drove 6,000 miles to LA to perform at the Comedy Store, the most famous comedy club in the world. You got 3 minutes on stage, and I was so nervous because right before you go up, they're like, "Hey, where you're standing, this is where Chris Rock started, Jay Leno, anybody you could ever imagine, this is where they started. So don't fuck it up." I was like, "All right, cool." So I get up there, I tell the dumbest 3 minutes of jokes you can possibly imagine. One of them was, I went out with this girl the other night and she called me a pencil dick, so I wrote her off. I literally said that in the Comedy Store. And I was like, "Oh my God." So I didn't know where the light was, and I kept going. And like, they literally couldn't get me off the stage. So at least you only just got the light 12 times. You could have thrown stuff at you, but it was a good job. You did good. Oh God, John stinks. All right. Did you write an intro? Yeah, you did. Okay. They're leaving before you come on. Smart people. All right. Our next guy. This guy is new to comedy, but starred in 17 full-length pornos for a total of 33 minutes. That was it. That's all I wrote. So,
What else do you need?
about another hour? 33 minutes is short. All right, guys, give me a huge round of applause for John Silk.
Great. Everybody I just roped into this place is leaving, except for that couple right there, the ice cream couple. We've now entered into the adult portion of the comedy show, so if you're offended, get the fuck out. Otherwise, all right, so as you can tell by my accent, I'm not from around here. I'm originally from Philly. I love that town. I love growing up in a big city. There's so much to do, so much to see. But it just started getting really crowded as I grew up. There was traffic, there was crowds, there was rudeness. And I just couldn't find any fucking meth at an affordable price. So we moved down here to Tennessee, which solved all my problems. This is America's breadbasket of methamphetamines. The meth basket, if you will. Actually, me and my wife, we saw an advertisement on a poster. It had 3 M's. It said, Tennessee, music, mountains, and Memphis. And we're like, man, that place sounds great. And we checked it out, and we moved here. And after 11 years, now I'm like, that's bullshit, that's false advertising. The 3 M's of Tennessee should be murder, meth, and morbid obesity. Although the music part is true. I love this place. I just saw the quarter the other day. I had a Tennessee quarter. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's actually, if you look at the back of Tennessee quarter, it's got musical heritage. It's got a picture of a guitar and a fiddle and a horn or some shit. Anyway, I like country music, but I think Tennessee missed a great opportunity to advertise because everybody in all 50 states is going to be carrying these quarters in their pockets and seeing them. And I feel like on the back of our quarter, it should have been a picture of those big, beautiful, luscious mountains of Dolly Parton's titties. I really think that would have brought people here. I really do. She's, you know, those titties are just like, they should be a national monument. And I know everybody gets offended, and I'm sorry. She's a great woman. She does a lot for the community. What she does for the kids alone in East Tennessee is great. If you guys don't know, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, she actually sends a free book to every Tennessee kid from birth to kindergarten. So 150 million books already that she's given away for free. For high school people, she provides free scholarships for a lot of people. She assists people in getting into college. For anybody that goes to her high school, valedictorian, she'll give a free ride. And for all the Tennessee teenage boys, she gives unlimited spank material. And by spank, I mean masturbate, of course. Which, you know, it's weird. My wife actually talking about masturbation, she doesn't like it. She thinks that it's actually cheating. She thinks if I masturbate while we're married, I'm actually cheating on her. So I'm a cheater. She's caught me a couple times, or 27, but she actually, I don't know, I do it because I thought when I got married, before I got married, when I was single, I'm like, sweet, get married. If you get a boner, you're going to get some kind of release. A couple of hands, 3 holes, no waiting, whatever. But it's not like that. And once you get married, you learn that at some point you have to become like part psychiatrist, part psychic, part hostage negotiator, trying to get her to free the pussy. It's hard. So anyway, I wind up masturbating sometimes alone, or at work, or when I'm in public. But she caught me so many times, she actually told me I should write a book. And so I am. I'm working on a book, and it's not like a control yourself or a how-to, or how to stop. It's more of a how-to, like a masturbating for dummies, jerking off for dummies. It has new methods, it has new technologies like the reverse hand dry rub, or the non-dominant numb hand. There's all kinds of stuff, and the Germans have reinvented the wheel when it comes to masturbation. And I'm not talking about like a whole new system. There's actually a method called the wheel that involves leather straps and some rubber and stuff like that. But when the book comes out, I want to be known, once it's published, I want to be known as the Martha Stewart of masturbation. Which is weird because there's actually a method called Martha Stewart. It involves herb-infused oil and some cotton rope or some shit. But anyway, the publisher expects this book. He wants me to have it to him in 4 to 6 months. My wife thinks that if I live up to myself, my potential, I'll probably finish early. It's kind of a sad book, but there is a happy ending. And it will be the first book in history that when it's new, it will come with the pages already stuck together. So anyway, I'm kidding, I'm 50, me and the wife have good sex. It's weird, she's not into anal. I know some women are, and I don't mean to embarrass anybody. But I asked her, I was like, why wouldn't you even try anal sex? It's something I'd like to try with you. And she said that she doesn't want to be stuck with a big asshole for the rest of her life. And I'm like, how the fuck did you marry me then? But when we do have sex, we have a 1-story house, thin walls, and we have a 17-year-old living in the house. So if we want to have sex, we have to be quiet. You know, we can't, if we want to get into it, if we want to fuck, it has to be, it's like a jewel heist. We're planning, we have diagrams and schematics, we have to make sure the house is empty, there's codes, there's signals, whatever. But, and like every good heist movie, at the end, somebody always finishes their job too early. And I don't want to name names, but it's not me, I promise. Anyway, actually having a 17-year-old is weird at your house, having a 17-year-old boy. I put it into the context that it's like having the world's worst fucking roommate. They don't pay any bills, you never see them unless they come out to eat or take a shit. Whenever you talk to them, it's always an argument, and you know when you're not home, they're fucking jerking off someplace you probably don't want them to. It's like the kitchen, or your bed, or your favorite masturbation spot. And although I don't really know, I say this, but I don't know if my kid jerks off. He's 17 years old, he's a boy, so he probably does, but he hides it well. Me, I didn't give a shit. I let that stuff fly everywhere. I had pals in my bedroom that if you tried to fold them, they would crack. My wall looked like a damn 3D map of the Smokies. And my mom, whenever she did bed sheets, had to use a fucking hammer to get them in there. And I apologize. I know I say a lot about sex and masturbation. I'm almost done. But it's just what guys do. And women, if you doubt me, look at it this way. If you took like let's all time travel together. Everybody, we're time traveling. We're talking to Michelangelo and Da Vinci and Edison and Lincoln. And you tell them, you're like, all right, I'll give you a choice. You can have all the diagrams and all the information you need to get to Mars and the moon and send pictures back, or we'll give you all the diagrams for an electrical grid and how to power houses and give them warmth and make more food and have cars that travel an electrical current, whatever. Or I will give you a recipe for a pill that will give you a boner until you're 100 and let you fuck that whole time. Which one do you think those guys are going to choose? Thank you. Good night, everybody.
You know what's funny? So the first night of the class, I tell them all, just like the basics, like here's how you make money, here's how it all works, here's how comedy works. And I tell them, PG, like if you do PG, that's where the money's at, because you get to do corporate shows. Like I did a show for McDonald's Corporation last year. Pays a lot of money, a lot more than a bar will. And so tonight, before the show, John comes up, he's like, hey, I've been working on a PG set. I was like, cool, what do you got? He's like, yeah, it's mostly about masturbation. So here, my answer is, fuck no, it's not gonna work. He was like, you're right. It's not, I hope that wasn't it, but yeah, it's not a PG set. No, good job though. One more round of applause for John. Oh, hold on, Shane. All right, we got 3 left. We appreciate all 3 following you for staying. All right, I'm gonna read this one. This is a big piece of paper. Where'd you even get that? Did you jog here? You just like ran up out of nowhere and like, yeah, my jogging clothes. All right. So our next performer, he used to work in New York City, and he has the distinction of being on Good Morning America with Garth Brooks, and later in that night on stage with the Daily Show head writers. Guys, give a huge round of applause. It's very funny. Shane Jackson.
Well, I'm going to bring it back down to probably PG, maybe a little bit of PG-13, but, well, are you enjoying the drinks? You better have some more if you want to find me funny. And if you thought those other guys were funny, you're about to get disappointed. Thank you, Ray. Well, happy end of February. Did everybody have a great Valentine's Day this year? Well, the day before Valentine's Day is obviously the 13th. And every year it happens, I forget my dating anniversary. And my wife and I have been together now for 26 years, since our very first date. So, round of applause for me. Thank you very much. And every year I forget it. And she looks at me and she says, what's going on tonight? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm watching the game. And then I'm like, oh God. So things are not great in the Jackson household right now. My wife told me, you need to do something to spice up the relationship, and you need to be more spontaneous. So I put spontaneous on the calendar for Friday. And, when you get older and you've got kids, you gotta, whenever you get intimate, you have to schedule that. I mean, we look at our calendars 2 weeks out and be like, well, Monday we got this, Tuesday we got that, maybe Wednesday night between 8 and 8:15 would work out for us. So, not great in that Jackson household right now. But have y'all ever seen the Elon Musk SpaceX rockets? Yeah. So I love to watch. I'm a NASA nerd. I love to watch the rockets. My wife is like a rocket, one of those SpaceX rockets, because she's like smoking all day. Have you ever seen them? They like smoke all day long, and they're like blowing out smoke. And she's like that. She waits all day for that intimate time. And by God, you better not be, the clouds start rolling in, 50% of the time. It's mission control. We got clouds moving in and a storm, and then it's over. and then the spontaneousness is over. So, but she's just like a rocket, and then she gets going, and then it takes a lot of energy. And then that rocket gets going up out of the sky, and once it's going, man, she can go and go and go like a woman can. And she gets to space and and then once you get to space, you can keep on going on and on and on and to infinity and beyond. Well, I'm like a rocket too, a bottle rocket. So, you know, a couple of the things that we've done in the past to, you know, spice it up or to be spontaneous is last year my wife reserved a cruise pass for us. And we were going to go on a cruise down to Florida, and she reserved it. We did a great job. You know, the one thing about cruises are really weird because there's like 3 different types of people that go on cruises. You've got the old people, you got the families, and then you got the drunks. Thank God I'm in the 3rd category. So we fly down to Florida, and we get the hotel the night before. The next day we go to Olive Garden and get the all-you-can-eat breadsticks and salad. Because what do you do right before you go on a cruise? You have all-you-can-eat food because they're going to start it on the cruise. So we get to the cruise, and there is no cruise ship there. And I said, Amy, what is going on? Swear to God, she hands it to me, and we are at the wrong port. We are at Port Canaveral, and we have to get to Port Lauderdale, which is a 2.5-hour drive away, and our boat leaves in 2 hours. So in a minivan, we drive 135 miles an hour at one point down I-95, and we make it there just in time. We pull just right up. And we run inside and we go straight to the place and they count us in and they're like, oh my God, you just made it by 30 seconds. And then they asked us for our passports. And guess what? We went to South Beach, Miami for that vacation. And I spent so much money on that vacation. So, thanks very much.
Keep it going for Shane Jackson. All right, we're down to the final 2. So this next guy, so I've taught this class for 4 years, which means I've taught 12, 13 classes. This next guy is taking all 12, 13 classes that I've taught. He's one of a kind. I don't know if he's going to sing for you. You know, he could sing. I don't know. He might sing. I know he's going to have a shit ton of props he's going to bring up here. A lot of times he doesn't even use them. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do tonight. So here. One night he brought 8 boxes of props to Scruffy City Hall. Never touched a single one of them. We all had to run out and grab the props. Never touched them. So I don't know what he's going to do tonight. So, good luck. This is Ray. You've been hearing him all night. Automatic laugher, which we all love that. So, guys, give me a round of applause for Ray Ford.
Here we go. Woo! How you doing, Skybox? Hey! What do you say we start this with a little song? That will start eventually.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. On my wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder. It's the truth, it's actual. Everything is satisfaction. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Wonderful feeling, wonderful day. Yes, sir. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Yeah, you got it. Plenty of sunshine heading our way.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder. It's the truth. It's actual. Everything is satisfaction. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Wonderful feeling this way. Hey, thank you. Boy, is it great to be out of the house and singing. Although I gotta ask, what the heck happened? It's 70 degrees in February. Hang on to your hats. We're in for a rough summer. Before I get to the really funny stuff, just something about me you ought to know first. I was born a poor white child, and a trip to Africa fixed that. That was quite a sunburn. Anyway, nothing. Okay. Strap in. It doesn't get any better. This will tell you what kind of mind I have. I am ADD, bipolar, and autistic. Yeah. But by the time I was in high school, the doctors were like, "We can't help you. We can't help you." I kid you not. They used every ADD medicine possible on me. Most of them I didn't even get a side effect. Not a side effect. I mean, one of them I did get a side effect from. It gave me a seizure. I was in a swimming pool. Did you hear what I just said? I was in a swimming pool and I had a seizure. What Twilight Zone episode was that? Seriously. I mean, here's the song. If the pill you're prescribing does anything along the lines of a stroke, a seizure, a heart attack, or sends your entire digestive tract going south on the first day, I don't want it! I don't want it! I am not your guinea pig, Doc! No one should hear Bugs Bunny's infamous phrase, and what's up, Doc? And hear the response, lawsuit. Boy, you guys are great laughers. but hey, we had a magician a couple comments ago, and I thought I'd try my hand at it. As you can see, the grab it out of the hat deal can be pretty difficult, especially if you're a taxidermist. But for my first trick, I'd like to draw a Bigfoot out of this hat. Shall we try it? Yeah. Shall we try it? Okay, Bigfoot. What do you think I was going to get him? A 6-foot monster? Get real! Actually, that was an athlete's foot. You see, a deranged athlete cut that off, and I'm not on drugs. Anyway. Okay, well, let's get to the really funny stuff, shall we? Hey, here's an odd phrase. I like looking at old phrases in the English language once in a while. This one is called having a cow. When someone says someone's having a cow, it's usually they're just flipping out, they're having a tantrum, really. But I'm thinking to myself, it sounds to me like something went horribly wrong at the maternity clinic, quite honestly. Now they have a sense of humor. And why is it a cow? Why not a hippo? The hippo is bigger than the cow. Why not say it's having a hippo? Unless the person having the cow is the hippo. That's an in-law joke. We all love our in-laws. Love them. We want to give them a nice big tall glass of cyanide. Okay, enough of that. Hey, did you hear about this little interesting animal? It was called a tree goat. It's goats that actually live in trees. Well, I saw a picture of it. It kind of looked like a Muslim family tree, to be quite honest with you. They're all wearing turbans. That's the part that bothered me. You can start laughing now. I'm going to do everyone in by the time we're done here. Or not. Okay, well, let's see here. I just have an interest. You know, sometimes I like to daydream. And has anyone seen this movie? Has anyone, Dumbo, you know, I always thought it'd be interesting if you actually saw an elephant fly. What kind of catapult was being used there? Of course, sometimes I've seen a horse fly, a dragonfly, a housefly. I've seen the peanut stand, I heard a rubber band, I've seen the needle at witness eye. But I be done sing about everything when I see an elephant fly. I seen the front porch swing, I heard a diamond ring, I seen a polka dot railroad tie. But I be done sing about everything when I see an elephant fly. I seen a clothes horse, a railroad buck, and they tell me that a man made a vegetable truck. Now, I didn't see that. I only heard. But just to be sociable, I'll take your word. I heard a fireside chat, I saw a baseball bat, and I just laughed till I thought I'd die. But I be done sing about everything when I see an elephant fly. When I see an elephant fly. Yeah! Thank you, everyone. You're great. Have fun tonight. Good night.
Parade forward. It's worth time, man. That was great. He's got my class banned from 3 places, but yeah, it was great. Yeah. He really has. But it's a good story. All right, so we got one guy left. And I've got to tell a quick story about this one. My zipper's broken. I just now realized that. So anyways, so it really is. But most people who take my class don't actually want to be comedians. Most people want to be better speakers at work, or they want to learn how to write, or they just want a bucket list kind of thing. They're like, hey, let's take this thing out comedy class. Which is most of them. And but every once in a while, I'll get somebody who like really wants to just go after it, like full time, and that's what this next guy is. But here's a funny story about it. So I've taught this class 12 times, and last year because of COVID, everything got canceled. So finally in October, was it October? September when we started. So September they decided, hey, we're gonna let you have your class. I was like, cool. So I had 7 students, and so the first time we get in the classroom, we're at the UT Conference Center, and we're there doing our class. Well, the dean of UT, like bow tie wearing, you can imagine what the dean of UT looks like. Bow tie wearing, walks right in. He's like, hey, we've seen how your class is going. I was like, shit, he's never done this before. He walks in, he's like, hey, he pulls me aside. He's like, one of your students is not wearing a mask. I was like, well, yeah, he can't for medical reasons. So he's like, we're either going to have to cancel the class or he's going to have to leave. I was like, shit. So he ended up having to leave. And so the second week rolls around. I walk up to class in the classroom, and the dean is sitting outside my classroom. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, well, we decided we're going to zoom in your class and live feed it, and so that one student who can't wear a mask can watch it. I was like, oh, that's great, but you've never sat into my class before. I can't control what my students are going to say. I was like, I promise, you've never done this before. I can't promise anything. He's like, oh no, I'm really looking forward to it. He's like, all right. So we get in the classroom. The dean is sitting right here. I've got my little chalkboard, little writing board, what is that, flipboard thing. So and their assignment from week 1 to week 2 was to pick one topic, and as a class we're going to write a joke about this one topic. So I'm like, all right, who wants to go first? And this next guy coming up on stage, we'll just go ahead and say it to you. It's part of your introduction. You wrote it, so I think we can blow your cover here. So I was like, who wants to go first? So Sean's like, hey, I'll go first. I was like, all right, what's your topic? He goes, rim jobs. The one night the dean is here, we went straight to rim jobs on the first joke. I was like, I'm gonna write this on the board. I was like, this is part of the class. And I'm looking at the dean. He's wearing a mask and his eyes are huge, and he's like shaking. I was like, is he laughing or is he having a seizure? I don't know what's going on. And so I was like, all right, rim jobs. I write that on the board. I'm like, fuck. I was like, all right, what's the first word you associate with rim jobs? He's like, my mom. I'm like, son of a bitch is in here, all right. So now I've got rim jobs and my mom written down on the board. This goes on for a couple minutes. And then one of my students, who's actually taking the class tonight, didn't show up tonight. He's in the back of the class. He's a magician. He yells out, hey man, I've been listening to shit about rim jobs for 10 minutes. I still don't know what it means. I'm not crying at this point. Why does it happen to me this way? And so the dean turns around to him and goes, hey, why don't you just pull out your phone, go to Urban Dictionary, Google the word, everybody, that way we don't have to deal with it. He's like, all right, I got you, Mr. Dean, man. I was like, all right. So I'm still writing on the board. A couple minutes later, everybody starts dying laughing, like they're crying, laughing. I was like, why are they laughing so hard? I turn around, the magician has fallen out of his chair backwards with his phone. I was like, what's so funny? He goes, man, I just looked up rim jobs on Urban Dictionary. He's like, hey, Mr. Dean, man, why didn't you just tell me it meant eating ass? I'm like, I've taught this class 12 times, and this is a good run I had, and I just ended it on a rim job. And so after the class, I went up to the dean. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I was like, I told you I can't control what my students are going to talk about. He's like, Alex, I've been with the University of Tennessee for over 30 years. And that's the best night I have ever had in UT. I was like, yes. But the funny part was, so what, 3 weeks later, they're performing at Crafty Bastard Brewery. And there's hardly anybody in the crowd. There's like you guys, there's like 6 or 7 people. And I see the dean walking in. He's got his bow tie and just walks out of nowhere like Superman. Just walks in, he's like, hey Alex. I was like, yeah. He goes, is that guy doing the rim job joke tonight? I want to hear it. I really want to hear it. And I was like, holy shit, what's going on here? Anyways, so this guy, I know you wrote an intro, but I'm gonna brag on him a little bit. So this is the second time taking my class. Just this past weekend, he got his first actual real gig already, which normally takes a couple years. He's done it in what, 3 or 4 months. And he got to open for one of my good friends, and from what I hear, he did a really good job. And he also won the meme war from our class. So I'm really proud of this guy. He's going after it hard. Guys, give a huge round of applause for the one and only Sean Ramos.
So people always ask me, hey Sean, what's with the long hair, man? I always tell them, well, short answer, I just hate haircuts. But it also reminds me of my idol's hair, Weird Al. And I've been mistaken for 3 different celebrities, none of which has been Weird Al. Been mistaken for Tiny Tim, Post Malone, and a pissed off Haggard. But I also kind of look like a couch potato Jesus is what people always tell me, which is fun. I look like Jesus if instead of him dying for everybody's sins, he just went home and watched Sanford and Son instead. But turns out, looking like that Jesus doesn't really help out with the ladies. I used to be really bad at it. Like, my friends would always give me advice. Man, just be yourself. Do what comes natural. I tried this once. I went to my local Taco Bell, and the lady at the window was super attractive, so I gave myself a pep talk. I said, Sean, just be yourself. Do what comes natural. So as I go to hand her my debit card, I stopped and smelled it, because apparently I didn't look like a serial killer enough. I had to go do that shit. It would have been less creepy if I just pulled up wearing a hockey mask, because at least then I wouldn't be able to smell anything. But my whole life, women have been an enigma to me. But recently, I've been able to pinpoint where this confusion on women has begun. See, when I was 4, I used to take showers with my mom sometimes. And then one day we were in the shower, and I just go, hey, can we talk about the elephant in the room? Where's your wiener? Now, as a parent, if you get asked a difficult question, you can handle this in 2 ways. You can tell the truth, or you can lie. So let's see which one she chose. Hey, where's your wiener? Some guy cut it off with a chainsaw. Oh, damn. My one question is now 102. Who? It's just some guy. Is he going to cut off my wiener? No. He just gets women. Should we warn them? No, he's got them all. My brain was fried. I went to kindergarten class the next day, and I'm staring at a group of girls. One of them looks over and is like, what are you staring at? I was like, well, did it hurt? Thank you, Ray. Thank you. So, I work at Walmart, and I started out at Walmart as a janitor. Being a janitor at Walmart is like being a housemaid to a bunch of meth heads. One day I was doing the outside trash, found a dead raccoon in one of the trash cans. Who has a dead raccoon to throw away? Hey Earl, pull over at the Walmart. I think the dead raccoon's gone bad. One day I was walking by the fish tanks, there was one dead fish on the ground. My buddy walks over and goes, man, why is there one dead fish on the ground? Like, we do that to show the other fish won't happen if they try to escape. We had one lady, she ran to the bathroom, she crapped her pants so bad that she just threw her pants away, left the bathroom wearing nothing but a shirt, stood outside, and just waited for her ride. Now that's the most gangster thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Because if I was her, I'd still be in that bathroom. Like, well shit, I guess I live here now, I don't know. So I live in a back road area, and it's kind of nice because you don't have a whole lot of traffic, but you do have a lot of wildlife. Now, I would never hit an animal with my car, on purpose, but I've hit a rabbit, I've hit a cat, a deer, and I've hit an owl. I told my friend this, and she's like, you hit a what? I said, I hit an owl, a hoot owl. She says, well, actually, owls don't make hoot sounds. I said, you're absolutely right. They make more of a thud. So, I was at my friend's house the other day. I found out he had a cabinet full of cinnamon, which is odd because he's allergic to cinnamon. I was like, why would you have a cabinet full of something that could kill you? That's like if a rat had a cabinet full, or if a rat had a cabinet full of rat poison, or if Kurt Cobain had a cabinet full of shotguns. Why would you have it? Okay, this was my clean set, so we're going to this is what I'm known for. So I have dyslexia. And that is like, if I read something, my words will jumble up and it will make a whole other sentence. For example, I was in the car with my mom one day, and we passed this big mattress store, and they had a big sign, and on the sign is an old man sitting like this, and the tagline was, we'll even tuck you in. But my brain read something different. I read, we'll even fuck you in it. But then quickly my brain showed me the correct tagline, and I said, oh man. My mom's like, what happened? I almost bought a mattress. This joke's brand new. This is probably going to suck, but I'm going to try it out. Does anybody have like this Google Assistant? Like you talk to Google, it'll answer anything you have to ask it. It's awesome. It'll basically answer anything, but it also turns out it's kind of a cock block. I was watching, my favorite porn genre, big black lesbians. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So I was getting my groove on, and then all of a sudden I hear beep boop, would you like to buy tickets to the circus? Yeah, maybe when my pecker isn't out Google, maybe now's not the best time. So I ignore it, keep going, girls are working it, I'm loving it. Then I hear, beep boop, would you like to learn how to fly a kite? Okay, Google, this is not appropriate. Basically, this was Google's way of saying, can we do anything else? So I wait 4 or 5 minutes, I'm up to Google's bullshit, I'm watching it, nothing. All right. So I move the hand back to the old ding dong, and as soon as I do, beep boop, would you like to know the history of Gary Coleman? All right, Google, let's make it fucking quick, all right? I am in an interracial relationship. I'm dating a beautiful black woman. Yeah. All those years of watching that porn genre paid off for me, so. She is the sweetest, nicest girl ever. Except for when I go down on her. Then she becomes a tyrant. I'll be going down on her for 30 minutes, and I'll come up for some air, and then I'll hear, oh, I didn't see no red light. I didn't say stop. Green light, motherfucker, go. And it takes her forever to come. Every time I prepare to go down on her, I gotta prepare like I'm about to watch a Lord of the Rings trilogy. Okay, I got the snacks, my drink, my comfy pillow, like we're ready to go. Dating a black girl isn't much different than dating a white girl. The biggest difference is when I'm with my girl, we're gonna listen to something romantic, some R&B when we fool around. When I was with white girls, I was fucking them to the Goofy movie soundtrack. I did not give a fuck. But before I got with my girl, I dated a bunch of crazy girls. One girl claimed she had a demon living inside of her. I had to let her go. She was clearly taken. One girl said that she only dreams of murder and genocide. What do you say to that? All I could think was like, okay, well, what race, Not that I'm racist, but I had to sleep with that bitch, all right? I had to make sure I'm covered. One girl, every time we'd have sex, she would bite her lip and close one eye. So the whole time we're having sex, I'm trying not to laugh because I'm thinking she's about to drop the dopest Popeye impression out on me. Which, oddly enough, it never killed my boner. In fact, after a month of dating, I just started keeping cans of spinach by the bed just in case. I haven't told this joke in forever. I'm going to tell it again tonight. I was with one girl for a while, and she was hilarious. We always make each other laugh. But one day we're on a date, and she tells me this really sad story. Like she said, when her dad would kick her wearing boots when she was little. And I got mad. I was like, that's not cool. What an asshole. What a piece of shit. And then she flips on me, and how dare you say that about my dad? You don't know him. You don't know. You can't say that about my family. I said, okay. Calm down there, boot prints. It's okay. But I learned my lesson. The next date, we go out. She tells me another sad story. That when she would get in trouble with her parents, they would make her eat spiced peppers. When she threw that up, she had to eat it. It's like, who the fuck were your parents? The creators of Fear Factor? Like if you brought back home a bad report card, did you eat bull testicles? But after a few dates, bring her over to my house. And when I say my house, I mean my parents' house. Because I'm 26 and I still live at home with my parents. And I've actually lived in the same room since the 3rd grade. And it shows, because I've got posters of comic book characters, cartoons all over my wall. So I bring her over, and we walk into my 3rd grade bachelor pad. And she goes, you fuck bitches in here? And it really got me upset. In fact, the only thing I think of the rest of the night was that. And when I was sleeping with her that night, I was like, you're goddamn right, I fuck bitches in here. That joke's more for me. I don't care if y'all like it. I just All right, I'm trying to lose weight. It's really hard because I eat like a dog with money. I got you. I ain't getting off stage with that. I eat like a dog with money. And, It's also really hard to lose weight when you work at a grocery store. That's like a recovering porn addict working at a sex shop. Shit just ain't gonna work. But yeah, and every day when I go to my lunch, I pass this thing of chicken sandwiches. They taste awful. You gotta eat them anyway. It's like I have fat dementia. Like, oh, maybe today they won't taste like a shoe. But, and not only do they taste bad, they feel bad. I feel bad when I eat them. Like, I'll be in my car, just got done eating it, and I feel awful. Like I just got done molesting a duck or something. I just love saying that, actually. Okay, so I was still with my parents. My parents were kind of mean. Like, my friends would ask me, is it weird bringing home girls over when you live with your parents? Not really. The worst part is when I drop them off and come back, my parents would start roasting the girls I brought over. Like, Sean, her head was weird. Sean, her voice sounded weird. Sean, that one might have been a dude. Like, one day we were driving down the road, I was in my car with my parents, and there was this, like, hooker walking down the side of the road. My mom's like, well, look at that crack whore. My dad's like, yeah, looks like something you'd see on Sean's mattress. Yeah, I was with one girl. We had sex back to back to back. We were covered in sweat. We were exhausted. And then I noticed that her lady bits was starting to smell a little funny. I was like, well, I don't want her to feel awkward. I'll make a joke. I was like, hey, your vagina smells like Long John Silver's. Guys, hands up. Don't say that. That did not go over well. But believe it or not, I dated her for 3 years. We spent Christmas together that year. It was awesome. That Christmas, it snowed. We were listening to Christmas music, opening presents with my parents. Everything was going perfect until my parents got her gift. They got her a gift card to Long John Silver's. Luckily for me, she forgot all about that. She was, oh my God, I love Long John Silver's. My parents look at her and go, yeah, not as much as our son does. That's my time.